Aston of Congo 27. The chambers of those who disregarded brotherly love. We are talking about the prison of those who lacked brotherly love. We have just begun 25 days of prayer to prepare for the new year. It is an international program for our church and the people that follow us in YouTube. We are living at the end of times, and the church must prepare itself to confront all the sorrow and tragedy that are on the way. The only way that the church can prepare is to bear the fruit of the Spirit. Take note about what I am going to say. The only way that the church can prepare in face of the wounds that are about to strike the people of the world is to produce the fruit of the Spirit. It is thanks to the fruit of the Spirit that we will overcome the powers at the end of times. I'm talking about things that the Messiah told me. Someone called me from a foreign land. He told me, "Brother Aston, your testimony is disturbing me. We don't know where you get all these details, things. I don't believe in all these things." I said, "Brother, do not be disturbed, for you are not a member of my sheepfold. I testify only for the salvation of souls that the Messiah has given me presently in the local church in Congo and those watching around the world." The Messiah said, "My sheep hear my voice and follow me." There are souls that are destined to be changed and saved thanks to my ministry and my testimony. The souls that are destined for me, which the Messiah was prepared for me, will hear my voice. I am not interested in people who refuse to believe because I am not sent to them. After leaving the prison of souls that made a commitment and failed to keep their pledge, my soul was troubled. The Messiah said, "We are to visit more chambers of hell, for there are souls that are to be saved, thanks to this report." The Messiah told me, "You're going to tell the bride to prepare and be ready, for the time has gone by. I'm at the door. And very soon I will reveal myself to the bride. Only those who are preparing, watching and praying that will encounter my glory." I was sad looking at the Messiah in this place, where piercing screams of damned souls were coming from all the directions. I kept hearing crying sound of lost souls that did not leave me the same and indifferent. As we were moving to the other chamber, the Messiah said, "You know, many will not see my face because they did not learn to love their neighbor. I love you, my people, but you must love one another the way I love you. The only way that you can prove that you really belong to me is by loving your neighbor. If you are wicked towards your neighbor, you will never see my face in my kingdom." Brother, if I don't have a love for you, I will not see the kingdom of heaven. The Messiah said, "Man is responsible for his condemnation." The direction we were moving in this place was leading to a massive gate like an ancient city of the Old Testament. The ancient gate was rusty and old. Quickly I noticed the drawing of a human heart in the middle of this old rusty gate. This place was dark and this gate seems to be heated in extreme temperature. I noticed that the human heart that was drawn on the ancient gate was really dark. This in order to illustrate the heart of the souls that were stuck in this chamber. Guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flow springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. And I saw on the ancient gate the list of offenses committed by souls that fell in this chamber of hell. The Messiah pointed his finger to show me all the writing on the old gate. I was stunned to discover that the writing was in Aramaic, a terrestrial language. Yeshua said, "Don't be surprised, for all the languages are created by my Father." I saw that I was able to read this language though I have no knowledge of this language. My sense beyond the grave was really advanced and perfected. The damned souls inside the enclosure were souls that have committed crimes written on the gate. I kept hearing the screams of souls that were in torment inside the enclosure. The first crime and offense on the list was souls that looked at themselves as if they were more just than the other. Brother, you are not more holy and more just than the people you judge and scorn. This attitude is a sin. You are not more perfect than the brother that you look down on. The second crime and offense on the list were brothers who failed to support fellow brothers. They were closing their eyes to the poverty, vulnerability, and weakness of others. And they had their eyes focused uniquely on themselves, deliberately ignoring people that they could help. We must learn to assist in carrying the burden of brothers and sisters. There are brothers keeping money in the bank, increasing their saving, ignoring their neighbors that are in basic need. Many are failing to realize they should bear one another load. Galatians 6:2. Bear one another burdens, and so fulfill the law of Messiah. The following crime was the souls that could not bear the prosperity, promotion and breakthrough of others. They are always in pain and vexed in their hearts when someone breaks through and is promoted. Whenever a brother or sister dressed in a good garment, they tend to downplay and say it's good but it's not good. They talk negatively when something positive happened to a brother. When people prosper around them, they become negative. We must learn to rejoice with those who are rejoicing and share brothers' happiness instead of being sad because of their prosperity. Romans 12:15. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. The next crime on this ancient door was people who entertain rancor, animosity and wickedness in their hearts. They were also those who don't mind the brother and those who don't tell the truth. Although they were witnessing evil before them, they failed to speak when evil is prevailing. Leviticus 19:17. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely rebuke your neighbor, and not bear sin because of him. In this list, There were those who refused to be told the truth, those who could not bear the truth. They were also brothers who wish ill to their neighbor. They were happy when evil befell their brethren and their neighbor. They say, the Messiah has punished them. Proverbs 24:17-18. Rejoice not when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles. 18. Lest Yahuwah see it, and it displeases him, and he turns away his wrath from him. My dear, we should never wish ill to brethren and our neighbor. Instead of wishing ill and cursing those who offend us, we must forgive them. Yet we keep saying Yahuwah will punish them because we wish them ill. If the Son of Man has accepted persecution and rejection, how come his disciples would not accept persecution? My dear, we should not wish people ill because they reject us. In this chambers, there were also those who no longer love their marital partner, though they continue to live together. In many marriages love is dried up and what is left is formality. They were those who hated people under some pretext. They were also those who have stopped doing good because of the treatment and abuse they suffer from people. In this chamber, there were those who love people because of profit and interest. They were also souls who love only people of their race, their kind and their tribe. After reading the list of sins that led down souls here, we finally entered this chamber through the ancient gate. I saw that there was a rain of fire falling in this landscape. The spectacle was unbearable in this place for nothing was as usual. It was horrific, something never seen. The place was like a forest that was burning in flames. I began to smell flesh that were burning. And I saw people burning like coal in the flames. Demons were lining up with these souls. Then we moved above the splashes of lava. Finally, we came face to face with a soul that was in his cell undergoing unbearable torment. Even when the fire of his cell was rising, he was regretting and was saying to himself, why did I hate him up to the point of harming him? The Messiah said to him, love is first and foremost loving those who offend you. As the Messiah talked to the man, I looked at him as his head was lifted up towards us, and we stood above his cell. He said, Lord, I am happy to see you in this place. I know that you have come to set me free from this place. Lord, you know that I have endured and bore those who offended me a lot. And I was tired of forgiving the same thing for the brother continued to offend me. Despite my patience, I decided to deal with him. I developed bitterness. The Messiah said, when you have a good heart, whatever the treatment you receive, your heart will be constant. I asked the Messiah, what has he done to fall here? The Messiah said, he was engaged, but his friend was continually smearing him to his fiancée. His fiancée was rebuking him because of the things she was hearing from his friend. Since his friend kept gossiping and smearing him, he went on to lose 2 consecutive fiancées because of slandering of his friend. When he got the 3rd fiancée, his friend wanted to sabotage their engagement. This is when he got angry. He went on to demand that his friend stop his slandering. He broke their friendship so that he would not sabotage his engagement with his fiancée. He did this to prevent the smearing and slandering he suffered from him. He published the photo of his friend on social media to break his friendship. This is because he was tired of forgiving the wrongdoing of his friend. When we forgive, we have to bear the injury. Love is about burying the wounds. When you say something to someone who took it badly and misinterpreted, you have to bear him. When we went to the next cell, I saw a damned soul inside a cell of iron bars that was like a cage. His chest was bumpy. I saw shadows that surrounded him and they were piercing him on the chest. They were saying one after the other, I told you this and that but you would not listen. We forbade and told you not to do it, but you went on to do it. When the soul saw Yeshua HaMashiach, he said, Master, take away this chest of mine for I cannot bear it. Yeshua said, when you were alive, you never wanted people to tell you the truth. You should have borne the people that were telling you the truth. How many people have you chased away from your life because they told you the truth? Whenever you misbehaved and people rebuked you, immediately you get angry against them. When people tell you that you are doing bad, you label them your enemy. You think those who are your friends are the ones hiding the truth from you. Yet friendship implies telling the truth to one another. When your friend failed to tell you the truth, he is not your friend. Many people like their friends to live with them in lies and hypocrisy. The one that loves you is supposed to tell you the truth. When a friend of yours keeps quiet when you are misbehaving, saying I saw that what you did was wrong but I did not like to say it, he is not a friend. The one who loves you is the one to tell you the truth when you are on the wrong path, even if you won't like it. But this soul was hating people who were telling him the truth. He thought he was always right. Beloved, often people that observe us are the ones that know us. When they make a remark about us, they can be right. Don't see yourself always right in your own eyes. This man fell into hell because he could not bear rebuke. Yeshua said to him, you rejected those who tried to bring you back to the right path. Sins are found in your heart. It's too late for you. I was watching this man with the Messiah, and I said, Yeshua, What has he done? The Messiah said, he was scolding those who tried to advise and bring him back to the right path. Whenever a person tells him that he was wrong, he would get angry against the person. The Messiah said, the shadows that you see surrounding him and piercing his chest are the people that were advising him when he was alive on the earth, that he chased away from his life. The Messiah told me, when someone tells you the truth about a fact, the words that he tells is already a judgment against you. When someone tells you that you are wrong and that what you are doing is wrong, when you refuse these truths because of your heart, understand these words of reproach and rebuke that you are rejecting are themselves a judgment against you. And these reproaches and rebukes that you are rejecting will appear on the day of judgment in order to condemn you before Yahuwah. Therefore be thoughtful when someone tells you something. Then we saw a soul that was tied in his cell. I learned that he no longer had affection in his heart for his father, for his dad never recognized his achievement. The father was radical but mediocre. He was behaving so badly that his children could not bear him anymore. But this one had built hate in his heart towards his father because he was using violence against his mother. He caught his father in the act, cheating on his mother. This man had hate towards his father in his heart. And when he died, he fell here. I saw a lady in this place. She was married and used to commit abuse towards her husband. Due to her behavior, her husband could not bear her anymore. He tried to advise her but in vain. One day, her husband invited her friend and her big sister to tell them what was happening in their matrimonial homes, hoping that they could advise her and she would listen to them. But when these people left, this lady got angry against her husband and said, "Why did you call these people here? You told them every secret happening in our house. We could have managed all these disagreements between us." From that day onward, she had anger in her heart against her husband and never repented from that attitude. She was still in her matrimonial home but love was gone, like in many homes. The Messiah said, when you lose love for your marriage partner, this is already a judgment, for it is written, you will love your neighbor like yourself, how much more your husband. Love is irreplaceable. There is love you show Yahuwah and there is love you show your husband. 1 John 4:20 If a man say, I love Yahuwah, and hates his brother, he is a liar, for he that loves not his brother whom he has seen, how can he love Yahuwah whom he has not seen? Ephesians 5:22-33 22 Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to Abba Yahuwah. 23 For the husband is the head of the wife as Messiah is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. 24 Now as the church submits to Messiah, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. 25 Husbands, love your wives, just as Messiah. Yahuwah loved the church and gave himself up for her. 26 To make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word. 27 And to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. 28 In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. 29 After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for their body, just as Messiah does the church. 30 For we are members of his body. 31 For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. 32 This is a profound mystery, but I am talking about Messiah and the church. 33 However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Aston Adambaya of Congo 28 The chambers of those who inflated prices for dishonest gain. I was with the Messiah beyond the grave, and he said, the end of all things are resolved in me. 1 Corinthians 15:28 And when all things have been subjected to him, then the Son himself will be made subject to him who put all things under him, so that Yahuwah may be all in all. Then he talked about the days of Noah. The people in the days of Noah had sinned before God, but the sin of the people in the days of Noah are not more perverse in comparison to the sin committed in our generation. When we read the Bible, it is written in Genesis 6:5-6 And Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahuwah repented that he had made man on the earth, and he was angry to his heart. The Bible talks about the mind of men, the interior of men, the thoughts of man that were focused on evil. I can afford to say that Abba Yahuwah has destroyed the world of Noah because every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts was evil. Every day the thoughts of men were directed to evil and wickedness, and because of wicked thoughts, Yahuwah destroyed the first world. Even if they did not do the sinful action, they were always thinking wicked thoughts. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, and slander. These are what defile a man. Matthew 15:19-20. Wickedness in people had caused Yahuwah to destroy the world of Noah. And since we belong to a more perverse generation than the world of Noah, we are the generation upon which the wrath of Yahuwah will hit. What is the gospel we are supposed to preach to this generation? It is the gospel of judgment. We must warn the church to be extremely vigilant, for the return of the Messiah is imminent. The prophetic signs are being fulfilled. This is an indication that this is a grave time. We must be vigilant. My dear, after dealing with the prisons of those who made pledges and failed to fulfill them, now we will talk about another chamber of hell called the chambers of people that overcharge items and services. These are those who spike the prices of items and services, selling stuff to people at prices that are grossly above the value of the items and services. This is about people that excessively inflated the prices of items to get more than what they were supposed to. Proverbs 20:10 False weights and measures, Yahweh detests them both. We were in hell, a place of torment that I dreaded, where lost souls were incarcerated forever in their cells. The suffering of these people was inexplicable. I was traveling with the Messiah when he said, "We must move in this tunnel of horror." Then we began to hover above the flames of fire. The Messiah was talking about the suffering undergone by damned souls. There were piercing screams coming from all directions, and I became accustomed to these screams of torment. The Messiah said, "Do you know is that exaggerating the prices of items and services can lead to hell?" But this made no sense for me. As we move into this place where demons moved in the shape of shadows, I saw that there was nothing good in hell. It is an evil dwelling place for men who fall there. What is important for us is to get to the Messiah and obtain the rest of our souls. The Messiah told me, "I exercise my judgment among men, and I will take into account all your actions, and my judgment is severe for people who reject me. But if you accept me, I will support you during your journey and stay on the earth as you travel towards the promised land." We were moving in this dark tunnel, and I saw a signboard, just like the signboards on the roads in this world. When we got closer to this signboard, I saw that it was written, "The chambers of those who inflated prices for dishonest gain." I was stunned to learn that some people fell into hell because of unreasonable pricing of items. I said to the Messiah, "Are people falling in hell just because they exaggerated the price?" The Messiah said, "When you people reject my word, precepts and commandments, the judgment of Yah will fall upon you." Habakkuk 2:9 Woe to him who gets evil gain for his house. When we arrived before this signboard, I saw a hole beneath this board. I knew that this was the entry of this chamber of hell. And in a blink of an eye, we entered this hole, and I began to see the terrifying spectacle of damned souls being tormented horribly. In this section of hell, I saw countless souls of men that were piled up. They were innumerable souls from the four corners of the earth. They all regretted their sin and they implored the Messiah for deliverance. That torment was unbearable, for I saw demons tormenting these souls that were piled up. These people in hell were begging for water. Witnessing this horrible scene, I began to cry. And I saw the Messiah shedding tears. He said, "This is not my fault. I shed my blood on the cross for these people. If my people for which I have paid this high price on the cross fall here, it's not my fault." In this section of hell, I saw so many objects. And these objects were demanding justice against these souls. Not far from where we were standing, there was a burning mountain, upon which I saw standing two giant demons. These demons were tall, approximately 16 meters. These two demons kept saying to these damned souls, "Rejoice, rejoice. This is your kingdom for eternity to eternity." I saw that one of the demons has grabbed a soul in his hand. I heard this soul saying to this demon, "Forgive me, I acknowledged my sin," but this demon would not listen. And this soul said, "Woe to my soul. What is it that caught me? Just because of these insignificant things I am condemned forever to be here." I noticed that this man was dark as coal, for he was burned by fire, and his bones were crushed, and he had holes all over his body, as if he was perforated. This demon told him, "You never pity your father. You always lied to him about the prices of items in order to get the extra money. What are we supposed to do to you, if not torturing you?" The man begged this demon. He told them, "I agree that I have sinned, but I have lied about the price because of my parents. They failed to understand that I was already an adult and I had needs. They failed to realize that I had needs and they failed to meet my needs. Every time I asked my father and mother for money, they were ignoring me, giving me an insignificant amount. I had no choice but to overstate the amount of school fees and notebooks required at university. It is in this way that I was able to meet my needs." This giant demon told him, "Is it not written in the book of your Abba Yahuwah that children should honor their parent? Is it not written in the book of your Elohim that you should not lie? Since you have lied to your parents, we have nothing to do to you, except tormenting you, for your parents were unable to do it. We are committed to this work." These demons threw this man to a place that was full of thorns, and he was pierced by these thorns. The man said, "Woe to my soul. What is it that caused me to cheat? I am condemned because of little things. I lost my soul forever." Proverbs 21:6 The acquisition of treasures by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor, the pursuit of death. I said to the Messiah, "What did he do?" The Messiah said, "You heard his confession. His parents did not carry out their duty. He had a lot of needs in life, but he did not know where to get money. He was lying to his parents to have something. He deliberately overstated the amount of academic fees to meet his needs. This is the kind of sin that led him here. Before his death, all the students were required in the university to buy a syllabus that costs $10, but he told his parents that the syllabus costs $15 in order to gain $5 for himself. Not long after this incident, he fell sick and died. The Messiah said, "There is no price for your soul. Therefore, reform your ways and guard yourself against doing evil." Mark 8:37. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? My dear, I used to think that these price exaggerations that we used to do to our parents in order to profit some money from them were not so grave. Yet innumerable souls were piled up in this place for this sin. Then the Messiah took me to a mountain. When we rose to the top of this mountain, I saw that there were thousands of openings and pits that were vomiting fire like lava spilled by volcanoes. The Messiah said, "I must take you to visit souls that are imprisoned in these pits of fire." I said, "Lord, Yeshua, what is the fate of these souls that are tormented here?" The Messiah said, "It's too late for them. For when a soul falls in hell, there is no more salvation for him, only the wrath of Yah that is enough for him. It is a great day of wrath reserved for all sinners that have tread on my grace." Quickly, we moved to a pit of fire where I saw a soul that was trying hard to move out. He kept shouting, "Who is there to save me? Who is there to liberate me?" But there was no help coming for him. He knew that it was too late for him. He was skeletal and his bones were covered by maggots. I noticed a lot of money in his pit and this money was claiming Yahoo was justice. He kept saying to this money that was accusing him, "Stop tormenting me. I will give back the money I owe to the owner. I am ready to hand you back to your owner. I have had enough. I spent so many years here for these little things I did." The Messiah said to him, "Sin is enough to be punished. Whoever commits sin has a pit reserved for him in this place." When this man heard the voice of the Messiah, he lifted his eyes and there was eye contact with the Messiah. He said, "Lord, Yeshua, forgive me and get me out of here. I'm willing to return this money to their owners. I promise I will go all over the world to tell people to stop acting this way. I will evangelize in bus stops, public places, and public transports. I am ready to follow your way and serve you now." The Messiah said, "You had multiple opportunities to change your way. I raised my servants to warn you before it gets too late. But now it is too late. I even sent your friend to rebuke you. Even your wife was telling you that what you were doing was wrong. You have failed to listen to the voice of your wife who was talking to you on my behalf. Today, my son, I cannot do anything for you. It's too late. The wrath has fallen upon you." But this man kept begging the Messiah. He said, "Lord, Yeshua, have pity on my soul and grant me grace. I want to return to earth just for 30 seconds and repent. I cannot stay here anymore." The Messiah said, "This man was an employee in a company. His boss loved him a lot. Every time the company was to buy goods the boss was sending him. He was supposed to check the prices of all the orders. And then he was to submit the total price and amount to the company, which was supposed to get him all the money. But every time he was to do the total of the cost of the goods he was to buy, he was adding an additional amount for his own interest. When something costs $100, he would write $150. What costs $50, he would write it as $80. This is in order to profit from the company. Whenever this man came back home with a lot of money, he was saying to his wife, "Darling, this is the money I gained after overstating the cost of goods that the company was to buy." Given that her wife was a Christian, she was against her husband profiting from the company, and she was opposing him, telling him, "Your salary is enough for us in this house. You don't need to misquote the price of goods higher in order to acquire unjust gain from the company." But he kept telling his wife, "I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things to do. I have no choice. We got to profit from this opportunity and enjoy life." Later on, he got sick and died. That is why the demons of hell captured his soul and brought him here. If only he had heeded the voice of his wife. Proverbs 16:8. Better is a little with righteousness than great income with injustice. When the Messiah was telling his story, he kept saying, "Lord, get me out of here." But the Messiah kept saying, "Too late. The judgment has fallen. The time of settling account has happened." Then we went to another pit where the fire was burning a man. This fire was rising from the ground to the top of the pit, burning him. I saw that he was a burning skeleton. The Messiah said to him, "You were lying to my servant and stealing sacred money to use it for your own interest. If only you heard the warning of my servant, you would not be here, but this is how you ended." He said, "Lord, it's not my fault. It's my pastor who gave me the responsibility of dealing with the church supplies. I was the one buying all the instruments. But the pastor was selfish. He never considered that I had needs. He was earning a lot of money in the church. But we were serving him for free. While he had more than enough, he ignored us. That is why I was overstating the prices of church instruments to gather some money for myself. Forgive me, Lord, I am conscious of my sin. Since I wanted to know more, I said, Lord, what has he done? The Messiah said, when he was alive, his pastor trusted him. And when his pastor traveled abroad, he was the one keeping the money of the church, and all the spending of the church was in his hand. One day a preacher came from Europe to preach in their church. When the pastor sent him to buy instruments and the microphone for the guests from Europe, he overstated the price of the microphone. And the pastor trusted him and gave all he asked to buy everything. And when he took that money, he bought instruments and retained the extra money for himself. I poured my anger on him. He got sick and died. Ezekiel 22:13 Behold, then, I smite my hand at your dishonest gain which you have acquired. My dears, I looked at this man and I thought about myself how many times I was sent to buy stuff and I lied about the price. This man thought he was lying to his pastor, but he was lying to the Messiah. Act 5:3 But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost, and to keep back part of the price of the land? In this place, we saw a man that was burned. He said, Lord, I used public money. I thought it was not an issue since it was public fund. The Messiah said, you are a state employee, and you had your salary, which was enough for you. I said, what has he done to fall here? The Messiah said, he was working in a public company in Congo. He was in charge of buying supplies for the company. However, he always bought low-quality equipment for the company, which does not last instead of using the money to buy top-quality equipment. This is in order to help himself with the extra money left. He spent 15 years in that enterprise. He thought he was stealing from the company of the government and that it was not an issue. He was wrong. 1 Timothy 6:10 For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs.